Pistol rounds are some of the most important rounds in all of Counter-Strike, especially now that we're on MR12. Understanding how to get the upper hand in these rounds can give you a significant advantage when trying to climb the ranks. So today we're going to be taking a look at how the pros play pistol round on Dust 2 and what we can take away from it and implement into our own games. But before we dive straight in, I want to thank today's sponsor, Skins Monkey. So, Skins Monkey is an automated CS2 trading site that provides an instant way for you to get new skins. All you have to do is select your old skins that you don't want anymore and then pick out some fresh ones to trade for. It's as easy as that. And right now you could get a free $5 if you use code TACTICS on the site. And finally, you could get up to a 35% deposit bonus when using my code. So thanks again to Skins Monkey for sponsoring this video. Links in the description. So let's go ahead and get started. The first major talking point I want to discuss is playing to the strength of your weapon. Knowing how to take full advantage of the range of your USP on CT and understanding how to counter that on T is absolutely critical. For example, as a T, if you're wanting to peek long doors, you're gonna need some assistance from either your team, some utility, or a better weapon. Let's look at some examples from Spirit versus Na'Vi at the Blast Spring Finals. First things first, notice how Magix is taking a favorable duel with the USP by holding a longer ranged angle. He's in a position where he can take a shot and fall back, playing it almost like an AWP. In contrast, Bit's a little bit scared to peek this drive, so he has Alexi B throw a flash for him. This does blind Magix, but he's able to take a couple of shots and then fall back to safety, and luckily, he gets a kill while blind. On the flip side, let's take a look at how Spirit approach a very similar situation from the T side. Pay attention to how much they do to counter this angle and respect that USP. The first player, Magix, jumps out of the doorway to counter or offset the crosshair of anyone holding doors. Donk quickly follows and is taking that space that Magix has created. Meanwhile, in the back, they have Shiro equipped with a P250 specifically to counter that USP. Since it's pistol round, they're working with limited utility. Being able to take long like this without the use of a smoke or a flash allows them to hang on to it for later. They also boost up Donk so he can spot Car, clearing it without the use of a molly. Once they're ready, Chopper throws a safe cross smoke and gets ready to flash his teammates onto site. Notice how Shiro is taking full advantage of his P250 and taking all of the ranged duels, preventing the CTs from peeking long. This is honestly just a textbook pistol round for Team Spirit. They took full advantage of their upgraded weapon and they were resourceful with their utility. If you don't have a P250 to counter the range, just doing a simple jump peek and letting your teammates peek out and get the kill is still very effective. Trust me, if Donk has a hard time hitting it, so will your opponent. While on T side, the P250 is used to counter the USP's long-range advantage, on CT, the dual Berettas level the playing field up close. Here's a great example of Virtus Pro positioning Electronic in a close-range position with dual Berettas to counter those Glocks. As Vitality pushed through this lurk smoke, Electronic makes quick work and is then able to transition towards doors. Unfortunately for him, Zaibu happened to be on the P250, and naturally, he just obliterated everyone he saw. It's a pretty unbelievable example that just really showcases the power of using these weapons to their strengths. Another thing to keep in mind is that you will almost never see an unarmored player rocking an upgraded weapon. Generally, whoever buys the utility will also drop an extra pistol, and an armored player will use that gun because why would you give your best weapon to your weakest player? So now let's go ahead and talk about the utility that you can use for these types of situations. So generally, if you're the one buying utility, you're going to be dropping a P250 and then having access to one smoke and one flash on T side. So making the most out of that is definitely the move. So if you're in Team Spirit situation where you can get out long without wasting any of your utility, well, doing what Chopper did and smoking cross to allow your teammates to push up and get those closer duels on site as opposed to having to worry about any of these angles is definitely the way to go. So the way Chopper did that was he went right into this position along the barrel, aimed at the top right of this building and did a left and right click W jump throw. Now, if you have the bind, that should be a pretty easy thing to throw. And as you can see, this thing's gonna land in the dead center here without a gap on either side. This is a super easy way to throw this lineup. It's also very easy to remember. Now, an even faster way to do it is if you go right here in front of this dumpster and do a simple left click throw right around this position. That also is gonna go into the center here without a gap on either side. This is a really nice smoke, one of the faster landing ones, and it's very forgiving. So whichever one you prefer, definitely I recommend throwing that. As for the flash Chopper was throwing, he was really just lobbing them high over like this to where his teammates could turn away from them as they're pushing up onto site, and it should blind anyone that's holding angles like this as they're peeking up. It's more to be thrown as they're peeking. That way the players either have to choose to eat the flash or to turn from it and give up the angle. So it's just a nice little flash to throw. no world-ending perfect lineup that's going to blind your enemy no matter what. They're just nice supportive flashes. But what about when you want to do one of those mid to B splits? Since you're typically only going to have one smoke to work with, well, throwing an Xbox smoke at the beginning of the round might help out, or maybe just a mid-door smoke, but once that fades, you really don't have that much space. So if you're wanting to split off mid to B, instead of using this smoke to get into mid, I would recommend doing like Vitality and just taking lower tunnels control, right? And having someone with a P250, in their case Zaiwu, holding this angle in case anyone decides to get aggressive and peek into lower. Once they're ready to go mid to B, Apex went into this corner, he crouched down and threw a nice little crouching jump throw smoke that's going to land up on top of the box here, completely eliminating any sort of peek over this smoke. Once you get out here, having someone with a P250 to take the window angle while everyone else is getting up nice and close, ready for you to use your flash by left clicking it right here at this position to where it's going to destroy anyone on site, and you're going to be able to push right through with basically every single player on site fully blinded. Now, when it comes to executing B, I always recommend a door smoke that's going to land all the way up on the very top of the door frame. It's just a better smoke to where they can't stand up here on scaffolding and spot you as you go across towards car. This one should spill straight down like this to where there's no chance they can see you through it. However, it may be best to just keep it simple and stay up close. A lot of times you'll see the professional players going into this position along the lock and just doing a simple left click throw just up above this area here in the sky. And then they'll do a simple left click throw with a flashbang at this black dot right here, where that flash is not going to blind them, but it will blind the enemies. And they have a nice simple door smoke. Now this one is super lurky. However, it's not that big of a deal if your whole team is pushing out and able to watch it. Here's an example of Flames from Vitality, just keeping it simple and throwing that basic door smoke while Zaiwu jumps across and they just destroy the players on site. So yeah guys, I definitely recommend just keeping it simple on the utility side of things and just applying all these concepts and just thinking about putting yourselves in advantageous situations depending on the weapon you're using. So yeah guys, if you enjoyed this video or maybe you learned something new, go ahead and click that like button or maybe even consider subscribing. If you guys want to see more of this type of content in the future, let me know down in the comments below and I'll see you in the next one.